guys, it's Karsten Craning back at it again with another YouTube video. Today, all parts of me are feeling like I should gatekeep what I'm about to tell you. I don't want to tell you what I know. I want to gatekeep it. But going into 2023, I'm changing a little bit. I'm feeling like I should share some of the love with you guys because there's a lot of cool, new, exciting brands happening in fashion right now. And rather than keep them all to myself, I'm going to use my platform to show a little support to them because you guys should check them out. So these are my brands that I think you should know going into 2023. A lot of these brands are super small at the moment in comparison to a lot of other brands that are super popular. But I think they're definitely worth your time, even if they aren't super established yet. I think at least a few of these brands will be super big in the coming year or two. So without further ado, here we go. The first brand I want to talk about is Paradox or Paradox E Paris. Forgive me, I don't know how to pronounce a lot of these brands because there's not a lot of information on them or articles. So I'm just kind of going with what I can figure out about them. But this brand is all about the art of denim and denim distressing. When it comes to denim and just distressing in general, the fashion scene kind of gives you the same type of distressing over and over and over again. And distressing itself is really an art. We see that when it comes to distressing techniques such as scab and boro. People get super excited about them. But scab and boro distressing are only the tip of the iceberg when it comes to unique ways of distressing a garment. And the people over at Paradox E Paris know how to distress a garment like no one else. Their different methods of distressing are super unique, compelling, and just really impressive. They have so many different ways in which they take and kind of rework and distress denim, and they seem to have a really tasteful and respectful way of doing that. Some of these distressing techniques they use are new, others are parts of different subcultures, and when they are parts of different subcultures that aren't really well known, they seem to honor that heritage really well. And they even recently worked with Rick Owens on his latest collection. Next brand I want to talk about is a brand called Octi Jewelry, and this is a super unique jewelry brand. I think oftentimes when it comes to jewelry, we look at the same kind of classical techniques and we don't see how far it can go. Oftentimes boundary pushing jewelry exists, but it's hard to find it. And this is one of those brands that kind of push the boundaries without being ultra expensive. They have this very unique sort of Y2K futuristic design that's based off of topography. So all of their pieces are very flowy and kind of feeling like a topographic map in a way. And it's super cool. They've done collabs with Roa, who I'll talk about later, and also the boutique Slam Jam in Milan. And if you guys are looking for some more unique, interesting jewelry than what you're seeing these days, I would definitely go check out Octi Jewelry. Super small company still, and I believe everything is handmade, but it is super impressive and super cool. I haven't gotten my hands on anything yet, but they have everything and it's super cool. So go check them out. Next brand I want to talk about is Xlim. Xlim is a technical South Korean kind of brand. However, they kind of go outside of what is the normal silhouette in those kinds of aesthetics, as well as they experiment with a lot of different fabrics and textures. And I think that's what makes them unique is their ability to experiment with different fabrics and textures, because in technical design, you're often used to kind of like the polymer-based or plasticky Gore-Tex type of fabrics. And these guys really extend the palette of what is a technical fabric. They often do these designs where it's multiple different fabrics with different textures kind of playing into each other. For example, they have this kind of technical rain jacket that has leather introduced into the mix as a fabric, which is very unique. You don't often see these technical rain jackets with leather. So super cool stuff they're doing. A lot of great colors, fabrics. They're really kind of pushing the barrier. The next brand I want to talk about is a brand called TMS Site. They are what they call performance workwear. And what that means is that they're trying to be what Arc'teryx is for skiing and hiking. That kind of same concept of being the best technical performance wear, but instead for blue-collar construction workers. So they kind of play with the more newer workwear aesthetic. I think right now, like the older kind of Carhartt aesthetic is super popular in like fashion. However, they're going with the newer aesthetic that actual construction workers wear a lot today. and they're really building on that and experimenting with that. It's super cool because it's experimental and looks great, but at the same time you can tell that these people really care about construction workers, and that's one of their core customers, and that they really are trying to help and enrich those people's lives, but also are doing it in a cool way where it might attract some fashion-y people. Definitely go check them out. It's super unique. I haven't ever seen a brand like this. Definitely doing something no one else is doing. So go check them out for sure. Next brand is Jeong Lee, which is another technical South Korean brand. I think a lot of these technical South Korean brands are kind of coming out of post-archive faction, which would have certainly been on this list a few years back. But there's sort of that movement that's happening there. What makes this brand unique is that they're a little bit more chic, kind of not meant as much technically for like the outdoors as much as it kind of seems a little bit more white collar. They're a lot smaller than a lot of the other companies on this list, but they're doing really cool stuff, including like working with transparent fabrics and other stuff that just makes them really interesting. But definitely go check them out and support what they're doing because it's awesome. Next brand I want to talk about is Owen Hyatt's brand Somar. Again, this is a brand that's been around a little bit. Owen is a good friend of mine, as a disclaimer, but I love what he's been doing with his brand. He's really worked to define his own aesthetic and grow and build it in the past year in a way that's really been giving the brand a life of its own and doesn't make it feel like just another YouTube brand in a way. And with every piece he releases, you can tell that it's all very uniform and it feels very coherent. In this next year, it's gonna get pretty big. The next brand I wanna talk about is a brand called Scary Lab. This is a very experimental avant-garde footwear brand. And while I don't necessarily know if this is going to take off with more of the menswear audience, I think this might become very big with the women's wear ladies at first, at least, kind of the more avant-garde, Margiela type of girl who is into that type of thing, because this is mainly heels and they are a little bit more traditionally feminine in design. Not saying men couldn't wear a lot of these designs, but I think it kind of caters towards them more. But with that being said, the designs themselves are super interesting. They're 3D printed and designed in these very kind of like snaky, technical like ways, but I can definitely see this taking off in some circles, and I'd keep a close eye out for it and see what they're gonna do. Next brand is one that has been super interesting. It is more of a person than a brand, but it is Jean-Luc Ambridge-Lavelle, and he is a UK-based technical designer. And he hasn't actually released any clothing on his own. However, he has been showing his designs, showing his work on Instagram and in the internet, and he's done consulting for a lot of other brands. Now, with that being said, he hasn't released anything. I think he has his first collection coming out soon, though it's not really clear. He's garnered so much hype and so much excitement from a lot of the menswear community that I can see whatever he does release in the future becoming super popular. And it's super impressive to me because all of his hype has just kind of come from him putting his designs out on the internet without even giving it out to people really or selling it. Next brand I've talked about a little bit, and that is Roa Hiking. Of course, their shoes have been pretty hyped for the past couple of years. However, they just released their first collection this fall. People loved it. A lot of the Roa first collection sold out on the website, and you can still pick up a few pieces in certain boutiques. And the Roa collection is super impressive. I even myself bought a few pieces from their first clothing collection, and I can just see them getting bigger and bigger. The next brand is also another hiking boot brand or footwear brand, but it is called Demon. Demon is an Italian footwear brand that has its roots back in an older company from the 50s, I believe. But they are now being revived in the 2010s, in the late 2010s or early 2020s, and have these really interesting, sleek hiking boots. They kind of play with the idea of what a traditional hiking boot looks like, but makes it kind of sleeker, a little bit more chic. And I would definitely go check them out because their hiking and footwear is super unique and super cool. It's been sponsored by Slam Jam in Milan recently. The next brand I want to talk about is another brand I've consumed a little bit of, and it is Sealson. They are a technical bag company. If you're looking for a brand that makes really great bags specifically, I would definitely go check out Sealson and what they are offering. Next brand I want to talk about is a local Seattle brand, and I hope I'm pronouncing this right, but it is Rien Nouveau. They are releasing a lot of kind of like staple menswear items that are great quality, and I would definitely go check out. Of course, I'm a little bit biased because I'm from Seattle, but it's doing some great stuff. They're doing a lot of different knitwear, which I quite like. And if you're looking for a smaller, kind of more classic staple brand, I would definitely go check them out. Inerum is one of the other brands I'm going to talk about. Again, it's an Italian bag company, so another bag company, but this kind of design is super unique, a little bit avant-garde, I guess, because it's just looks so different from anything else there is, but all of their designs look very robotic and futuristic. Almost every piece looks like it is the piece of a robot or something like that. I've looked at this brand for a long time. I've never bought anything from them, but they've been on my list of something to buy at some point for a long time. And the last two brands I am going to talk about, I am just going to give my full disclaimer, I am biased. Both of these brands are brands from my really good friends, but I want to encourage you guys to check them out. It is Tommy Pointer's brand by Tommy Pointer and Ezra Kettersmith's brand, Ezra Kettersmith. Both are namesake labels, but they're both my two very, very, very close friends who I'm incredibly proud of, who have both started making clothes in this past year or two, and both times they've sold out of their collections. They've continued to kind of pave their way with their both own individual unique aesthetics, and I know that they both have fall winter collections coming out soon, so maybe if you want to check them out, I think they would really appreciate that, and I would too. With that being said, did I miss any brands? What brands did I miss? What's going to be hot that I didn't talk about? Please leave it in the comments so everyone else knows what to support. We love supporting small business on this channel in the comments, so go link anything down that you think I missed. Again, it's Karsten Craning. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please like, subscribe, and have a great day.
Which one you talking about?